This is Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. Tensions are escalating between the United States and Europe after President Trump threatened to impose tariffs on 8 European allies that oppose his push to take over Greenland, the semi-autonomous territory of Denmark. On Sunday, Trump sent a text message to Norway's prime minister writing, quote, "Considering your country decided not to give me the Nobel Peace Prize for having stopped 8 wars plus, I no longer feel an obligation to think purely of peace." Trump went on to write, "The world's not secure unless we have complete and total control of Greenland," unquote. Earlier today, President Trump posted a mock image of himself alongside Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio planting an American flag on Greenland. Over the weekend, thousands took part in protests in Greenland and Denmark, many wearing red MAGA hats, as in "Make America Go Away." European leaders denounced Trump's threats and are weighing cutting off U.S. companies to the EU market, a move known as the EU's trade bazooka. For more, we go to Copenhagen, where we're joined by Julie Rademacher. She's the chair of an organization for Greenlanders in Denmark that was among the main organizers of the protests for unity and support for Greenland this weekend across cities in Greenland and Denmark. It's called Greenlanders. We thank you so much for being with us. Can you respond to President Trump saying he will militarily take Greenland?
Well, I have a message also for the American people and for all of you in the US. We have for several years had a very good cooperation. We've seen you as the protectors also in Greenland and also in Denmark, but now you are our threat. Your president is going to do something very bad for Greenlanders and are threatening us with annexing our country. So I have a very clear message for you that you are better than Donald, and you also...
All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. Alright, and the name of this lesson is entitled, alright, The Lord is turning the beast against the whore. Alright, which the beast is being NATO and EU. Okay, and the whore is America, Babylon the Great. Okay, and as you see in here now, you see Trump, okay, putting pressure on Europe, you know, on NATO and the EU, you know, putting a lot of tariffs, pushing tariffs, you know, because you know he wanna take over Greenland. Okay, as you see here, just now I wonder if I could back here.
As in "Make America Go Away." European leaders denounced Trump's threats and are weighing caution for Greenlanders in the weekend. Thousands...
Okay, as you see here, you know, putting up picture, you know, that he, you know, putting up the U.S. flag, you know, with the Vice President and Marco Rubio, you know, the crew lord, and you know, also he was putting the U.S. flag over Greenland, you know, Canada on the world map, you know, and that's the pride the Lord, you know, setting America, Babylon the Great on. That, you know, that stage of pride, all right, you know. So when they hit Iran, okay, that's the great snare what the Lord set for, you know, America, Babylon the Great. Okay, that's the snare they're gonna fall into, you know, once they implement the MOTB, you know, and they hit there, you know, World War III is gonna pop off. All right, you know, so that's the Lord lifting up these devils' pride. Anyway, you know, so, you know, the beast, you know, NATO, EU, the beast, you know, they are getting fed up with the whore, you know, which is America. All right, okay, they are getting fed up. Okay, they okay, slack here. Yeah, you know, they are getting fed up. You know, and this is the Lord dividing, you know, America. All right. Okay, the Lord is dividing NATO and America. He's dividing NATO and EU from her. He turning them against her. All right. They are being divided. Let's get a precept. This is Mark chapter 3 and verse 23. It says, "And he called them unto him, and said unto them in parables, How can Satan cast out Satan? And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand." Alright? Okay, America, Babylon the Great is being divided. Alright? Okay, the Lord is turning her allies against her. Alright? Esau kingdom is being divided against itself. Alright? The house of Esau is being divided. Okay, you know, and when you divide a house, you know, when a kingdom divided against itself, you know, it's easier to take down. You know, and this is the Lord, this is what the Lord doing. Okay. Okay, this is what the Lord doing, you know, by making Trump wanna, you know, take over Greenland. Alright, let's read on. Verse 25, it says, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Alright? Okay, you know, Satan, the Esau Edom, the so-called white man. Alright, not the literal spiritual entity Satan. Alright, the Lord, okay, is dividing them. The Edomite nations, they are being divided. Okay, verse 27, no man can enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. Alright, and that's what the Lord doing. The strong man, okay, represents America, Babylon the Great. Okay, the Lord is binding him up. Okay, setting him in a trap. You know, dividing them up. Okay. Okay, you know, and you know, well, first, let's grab this precept real quick. Believe Luke chapter 11 and verse 17, it says, but he, knowing their thoughts, said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and a house divided against a house falleth. Alright? Okay, and this is what the Lord doing. Okay. Okay, the NATO and EU nations are starting to get fed up. Okay, you see, Denmark basically said, alright, if they take over Greenland, you know, NATO is finished. Okay, so that day, what the Lord making Trump doing, you know, is dividing, you know, is dividing America, you know, and our ally, dividing them. Okay, setting them apart, breaking them up. Okay, that's complete division. Okay, and this is the Lord set up this plan, you know, his trap. Alright, this is, let's see here, Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 7. It says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. Alright, that they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, there is none understanding in him. Okay? Alright, let's read the NLT. It says, all your allies will turn against you. Okay? They will help to chase you from your land. They will promise you peace while plotting to deceive and destroy you. Your trusted friends will set traps for you, and you won't even know about it. And they don't realize it's being set up in a trap. Okay? Okay, these moves that Trump making is gonna backfire against America. Alright? Okay, okay, it's gonna backfire because it's causing, the beast to turn against America. And this is the Lord trap. Okay? Okay, NATO and EU are gonna betray America, the whole. Okay, they're gonna join Russia and China, and come up against her. Alright? This is Isaiah chapter 33. Slakia chapter 33 and verse 1. It says, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously. Okay. Okay, when you see they get Venezuela, nobody come up. Okay. China hush up. But all that, okay, and now they feel that they're just taking country by country. They want Greenland. Okay, and all that gonna come to an end. Okay, the hammer, the earth is gonna be broken. Alright, this is trap what the Lord set in. Alright. Okay, the beast, NATO and EU, are gonna betray her. Okay. With thee, when thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, Salakia, if I pronounce it wrong, they shall deal treacherously with thee, Salakia. Alright? Okay, they're gonna betray the whole America. Okay, they're gonna come up against her. They're gonna nuke, alright, Babylon the Great, along with the other nations. Alright? Okay, this is Revelation 17 and verse 16. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. Alright? This is what the Lord doing. The Lord making NATO and EU, the beast, hating the whole America, Babylon the Great. Okay? They stand to hate her now. No, the Lord is setting a division. And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. Alright, this is what they're gonna do. They're gonna join up with the nations, with Russia and China, and they're gonna nuke America also. Okay? So prophecy is popping off. This year 2026, you're seeing real stuff happening. Okay, so I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations unto the hopeful elect. Wa Abad Babal Shalom.